Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
And welcome to On Cue. Gerard Academy's Ambassador of the Year is here, and she shares her advice for a healthy outlook on life. Also, we learn about the success of the Albert Lee Packers. Yes, I said Albert Lee Packers. Also, we'll find out how horses are helping people. It's a great show ahead. Stay with us.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
Gerard Academy provides an array of individualized mental health services for youth and families based in Austin. In 2017, Tiffany Ellinghuysen received the Ambassador of the Year award, and she's with me today. Welcome and congratulations very much. You've been there 10 years. Tell us just a little bit about what Gerard Academy is for folks who might not know.
Well, it's a residential treatment program for adolescents. The ages range from 6 to 19. We have 6 different units, 3 girls units, 3 boys units, all different age ranges. So there's young, middle, older.
And these are young people who come from mostly Minnesota, but some neighboring states.
Yep.
So not just Austin or Albert Lee.
Yep, exactly. They can come from all over. And
we'd say they are troubled. They have some type of trauma or some other malady that brought them here.
Yep, something happened that they struggle with dealing with their daily life, and we're there to help them with that.
And so there's an educational, do I call you a school? Students pick up and take classes, right?
We have a school on site, so we are the residential side, so we help with their mental health, daily programming, structure and routine, and then, in the morning they go to school, and then they have their weekends off, and summertime they have parts off, and they follow the Austin Public School District schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you get interested in this line of work, and what do you do there specifically?
Well, I became interested, a long time ago. I've always wanted to work in the mental health field. I was just kind of always drawn to it. Before I worked at Gerard, I worked at REM, and then after that, I worked at a state job for a group home, and then Gerard came up, and the title was counselor, and I was like, oh, I've always wanted to be a counselor, and always wanted to work with kids, and so since then, I've had many different roles there. I started out as the counselor, went up as a senior counselor 2 years after that. Received the Board of Excellence Award after that, and then I got the unit coordinator. So my current role now would be more of a supervisor role. So I supervise my staff. I foresee the dorm on how they're, how the unit is doing as a whole, making sure everybody's getting their treatment plans, and we work as a team to provide the treatment that they need. Basically,
can be a very tough, challenging.
Yes, it's
role.
It's a very, very challenging role, but it is so rewarding.
Unpack that a little bit. When you say challenging, what are some of the challenges you have dealing with these young people that other folks, like in a public school setting or just at your home, don't have?
Well, I think it's just trying to provide the skills that they need and teaching them on a daily basis. It takes a long time for kids to adjust to the structure and routine that we're providing. So that can be a challenge, but working as a team with the staff that you have, and making sure that the consistency is in there, it's all a team effort. And then, having to deal with the behaviors along with it is challenging a bit, but knowing that all of that stuff is for a bigger purpose, and once they discharge, it's super rewarding to see that we've helped them. We had a huge impact on that,
Now you're in a unit supervisor role, so it's maybe not, the question might not be perfect for this time, but when you were a frontline counselor, did you fear for your personal safety?
You know, I think when you work at Gerard, you know that, there can be injuries, there could be, I mean, we're highly, highly trained in these physical interventions that we can get into. So you already know that there could be bruises, there could be.
From them hitting you, from young people hitting you, you mean? Okay.
Could be, but we don't ever take that personal. We're there to help the kids, and the kids know that, and we know that the kids come from a place where they need help with those things. And so it's never a personal thing, and I think we do a really good job of separating that from, what's really important there. So
I guess that's really a testament to your longevity there. I mean, how do you take care of yourself? It's so easy to say it sounds like a burnout job, like some of these high stress, dealing with people like that. How do you take care of yourself?
I think I've just kind of, since I've worked there, I've just been able to realize that work is work and home is home. And so when I go home, I spend time with my kids and my husband, and I do things to have fun, and then I go to work and I make sure that I focus on work. And for me, it's easy. For others, it may not be so easy. But yeah, I think it's just, it takes time to know how to separate all of that. But yeah, I mean, it can be stressful at times, but just being able to separate that
separate
is easy.
The two.
Yeah.
Ambassador of the Year, what does that mean to you, getting that accomplishment award?
It's very, it's important to me. I mean, it's a huge compliment, and I never expected to ever have that. That was never a goal that I had in mind. I've had many goals working at Gerard, and I've accomplished most of them. But being an ambassador of the award a year was never something I thought I could accomplish. So that was never even a goal that I even put in place, because I just felt like that was too high of an achievement. So when they told me about it, I was like, are you joking? I was like, are you sure? Like, you're talking to me right now? So it was a huge honor to, accept something like that.
Does it mean you go out and talk? You think like ambassador is sort of somebody who travels and talks about Gerard elsewhere?
I don't think, that's not what it means to me. I think people who are awarded that, it's mostly recognized for their hard work, going above and beyond what their normal role is. And Gerard does a great job of recognizing people for their hard work, and that's a huge thing, and they do a really good job of that.
It's part of a very large corporation, Nexus, so I'm sure there are opportunities for people to move elsewhere.
Yep.
Is that something that you keep looking at and maybe move on to some other place?
No, I don't have any plans in the future to move anywhere, out of Austin anyway. So my plans are to stay at Gerard, but they do have opportunities to where you can transfer to those types of places. But
are you seeing new kinds of problems with the young people that you see that you saw when you started 10 years ago?
That's a good question. It all just depends on the kid. I mean, we've had several different cases, so it all depends on the kid, the history, but it's mostly the same stuff that we come in seeing. It's mostly like the self-injurious behavior, could be aggression to others, really their self-esteem. So we really work hard on working on the individual child and what we can do for that individual to get better in their treatment and in their life, because this is their life that we're helping them with. We have to look at that picture too. So I wouldn't say that there's been so much change. I definitely see that there's been a lot, that we've really reduced aggression on our campus, and that's amazing. When I first started, we had a lot of aggression and a lot of physical interventions that we needed to do. I could give you a number, but I don't have that right on hand. But I know we've definitely reduced those numbers, and we started something called the Peacekeepers, and that's residents from each unit that are known as leaders, and they do a lot of special activities on campus, and they're huge leaders to their peers on their unit. And so that's been a huge change, and a huge positive change for the whole campus.
Oh, a peer-led program.
Yes, it's been great. Yes.
That's really wonderful. And the future for you, do you see doing what you're doing? You know, how often do you interact with young people now, or are you pretty much in an office all the time?
No, I'm not usually in an office. I mean, I definitely try to be in an office sometimes so I can get a lot of my paperwork done, because that's definitely part of the job. But I work with the kids directly still, not as often as I used to. I still work on the dorm at times, mostly to help my staff with helping the other youth and teaching them more and doing a lot of training. But as for the future and goals, I would like to go back to school. That's something that I really would like to do, and my overall goal is to become a therapist. I would love to become a therapist, and especially at Gerard, because I just admire them. But right now, I think my life is just too busy to start that, so I'm kind of waiting for the perfect time.
Well, that's wonderful. It'll happen. And do you ever hear from students after they leave?
Yes, all the time. They call Gerard all the time, and it's really nice to hear, because a lot of them call with how much progress they've made, or they call like if they're having some issues and ask for advice, and it's really good, because it just shows that how much work staff put in there, and that the kids know that they can come back to us and talk to us about it.
And you're really helping others. That's what that shows.
Yeah.
Tiffany Ellinghuysen, thank you so much. Congratulations on the Ambassador of the Year award
Thank you.
at Gerard Academy. And
Thanks.
good luck to you. Stay with us. Our Austin Voices segment is coming up next.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org.
Hello, I'm Annie Krennick, the current intern at KSMQ Public Television. I'm a student at Minnesota State University Mankato, and I'm here with the new segment, Austin Voices. Our goal is to hear different perspectives from within the community of Austin, and I'm happy to have Judy Bergen with me today. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
So how are you today?
I'm good. It's nice to be here.
Okay, thank you. So how long have you lived here in Austin?
Well, we moved here in 1976,
Okay.
and we've raised our 3 children here.
Oh, that's exciting.
And it's been a very nice community to live in.
Yeah, so does your family live here now?
My husband and I do, and we both are retired. He was a radiologist, and I was a psychiatric social worker.
Oh, that's really exciting. So what is retirement like? Like, what have you been doing since you retired?
Well, we've actually been retired now for over 10 years, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Time actually speeds up when you retire, and you don't think it's going to do that,
Yeah. I guess time flies when you're having fun.
I think you're right. And you just, because you don't have a schedule, as rigid a schedule as you had, you just keep adding more things to it.
So what is the community like in a town like Austin, would you say?
Well, I think that there's so much here that people can take advantage of. And my children all played in the high school orchestra. And
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience for them. And they learned to appreciate music on a level that goes beyond just listening.
Yeah.
And it was a very good experience for them. And I thought, how many high schools do we have an orchestra like that?
Yeah.
So
I was in
lucky.
high school band, so I definitely get where you're coming from. Like, you just appreciate music in a new way, which I think that everyone should have that experience. It's disappointing that more schools don't have that, but
You're right.
yeah. So what do you do within the community of Austin? Because you volunteer at the Artwork Center.
Yes, I do. I've been a volunteer there since it opened, and it's a wonderful place to go in and work, because they always have new things coming in, and so it's so much fun to see what's new. There's paintings, there's photographs, there's tables, there's lamps, there's there's jewelry, beautiful clothing items. And whenever I have to buy a gift, I go first to the art center, because when you can give something that's original art. And another thing they have is cards. They have beautiful handmade cards that I buy a lot of those.
And do you have like a favorite exhibit, or do you have like a favorite artist in Austin, or like something that just makes you excited?
Oh my, that would be really hard to choose. I forgot to mention pottery, by the way, and I'm sure there's many other things I forgot to mention, because there's just so much there. And you know, it's in a beautiful building right on Main Street, and so I really enjoy the volunteer work I do there.
Well, that's awesome. So would you say that there's a sense of community for the seniors in Austin? Because I know Austin has like a very active senior center, which is really cool.
Yes.
And so would you say that like you have a lot of friends here that you spend a lot of time with, or do you spend most of your time like volunteering or with your family, or what would you say?
Well, all of those things. The Seniors Center is great, and in fact, I've done a couple of presentations there promoting my novel, and
that's really exciting. You wrote a book?
Yes, I did. I decided one of my favorite things has always been to write, and so through the years, I had short stories published in literary journals.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
But then when I retired, I decided to write a novel. And that was published, came out a year ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
So I had book signing at the Senior Citizen Center, and then I also had another session where people who had read the book just wanted to get together and talk about it, and I really loved that too. And well, the main promoter of my book though has been Sweet Reads, the bookstore right on Main Street. And Lisa Dale is so wonderful at promoting any of the local authors.
That's really awesome. So you think that like the Austin community is like really good at like supporting the people that live here, like, you know, the Artwork Center like supports local artists, and the bookstore likes to support like local authors. So I'm trying to.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Coming from like, well, Austin's not really like the largest community, so it's really nice to see that kind of support from such a tight-knit, like smaller town, especially in like Minnesota, because Minnesota's just wonderful. So thank you so much for coming to see me today. I'm really excited to have you. That's all for Austin Voices. Stick around for more On Cue.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
Baseball has been a part of Freeborn County's history for more than 150 years. As early as 1872, a number of Albert Lea citizens traveled to Northwood, Iowa, to witness a baseball game between the two clubs. The 9-inning game took 2 hours and 20 minutes, with Northwood capturing the victory. Most of the villages in Freeborn County had baseball teams. The clubs competed against each other as well as teams from surrounding counties. Games were held weekly. A July 1889 newspaper found it noteworthy to report the Manchester baseball team had a week off because the baseball players were farming. Area merchants usually provided sponsorship for the teams. As part of the 4th of July celebration in 1889, London Township witnessed a game between the London and Bohemian baseball clubs. The strong Bohemian team earned the victory, 12-9. Teams from Hayward and Myrtle played a June 1903 game in H.C. Nelson's pasture, resulting in a victory for Hayward. The score was 11-4. At the beginning of the 20th century, several fraternal organizations sponsored local baseball clubs. The Albert Lea Elks team, in their white and purple uniforms, played a charity game for the benefit of the new hospital building fund in 1912. Albert Lea's interest in baseball was revived in 1939 when Mark "Shanty" Dolan was hired as manager of the Albert Lea Packers. The team's name was from sponsorship by the meatpacking plant Wilson and Company. In 1941, a new baseball facility, Hike Field, was dedicated. It served as the home of the Packers, who competed in the Southern Minnesota League. In 9 years under Dolan's guidance, the team won the league championship 6 times, were runners-up twice, had won the Class AA title in state tournament play 5 times, 4 years in a row, and won the Minnesota statewide championship 3 years. This story of the past was brought to you by the Freeborn County Historical Society.
Animals can be great for your health, as we found out in this old episode of Health Connections. I hope you enjoy our look back into the KSMQ archives.
We are at Rideability in Pine Island, Minnesota, an equine assisted therapy facility. Tonight we have with us Jeannie Michelizzi, the executive director here at Rideability. Welcome. Thank you for letting us come and visit.
Thank you for coming, Stacy.
Tell us a little bit about, I know we're catching you in between two classes here. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to do here tonight, about your program here.
Okay, well, tonight is specifically called Evaluation Night. It's our orientation, training, student evaluation, and goal setting night. So this is how we begin each session. And our sessions are 5 weeks long. And we like to start out slow and do things slow. You don't want to, that's the way our program runs. We're really careful with everything we do. In our very first week, we don't teach a riding skill, but we get the horses and the students matched up. We get the volunteers matched up. We look at the tack, the saddles, the different aids that we might need to use for certain students. And our therapists are very key our first week when we're doing all this evaluation. We have some physical therapists and occupational therapists who work with us. So
who comprises a therapy team? Like each individual student, who do they meet with?
Well, our students will have their horse. Of course, they're most excited to meet with on their team. And then they have the horse leader who is trained and familiar with the horse that they're leading. And then they'll meet their sidewalkers. And they have a sidewalker on each side. And in the summer classes, when we have these smaller students, a lot of the sidewalkers are parents, or they may have one parent sidewalking.
And a volunteer.
And a volunteer on the other side, yeah. So they'll meet all these people, yeah, and it's pretty exciting for them.
And do you have any other family members that might participate?
Yes, okay. We are a very inclusive program, so we encourage the siblings to ride also at Rideability. And so some of our families, you'll see that they will have 2 or 3 together. So if we have one student who has a special need, and then maybe the 2 little brothers who want to ride, with the big sister, or maybe even an older sibling who always wanted to ride horseback, and there just isn't a lot of time, that's a complicated thing to get into, but they're excited to be able to participate with their younger siblings. So it's an inclusive program. We actually got an award from ARC Southeast Minnesota in 1999 for inclusion, because this concept it makes a much better environment for those kids with special needs.
Oh, that's neat. Are students required to have a friend or family member, or do some come alone?
They can come alone.
Okay.
Some students do come with maybe their PCA, who may or may not sidewalk. So what we do is we set up what we do is serve the family, and every family has a different dynamic, and every family has different needs. So we try and learn enough about the family so that we can give them what they really want.
And do you recommend the same companion to attend with a student every time for consistency's sake?
We certainly do. That is one of the minor goals that we have, is to try and keep the same sidewalkers with a student. It helps them to be able to challenge the student better each week if they know what they did or didn't do the week before. And it's really fun for the sidewalkers as they see their students grow from week to week, or they see them accomplish something they couldn't do last week. So it's a lot of fun for everybody. And then their energy and their excitement gets translated to the family when the volunteer sees something, wonderful.
So once you have this initial class and the plan is set forth by the therapist and everybody's involved, how many weeks do they generally, does one session include?
One session is 5 weeks. So the first week is the training, evaluation, introduction, what we talked about. The second week we focus on safety around horses. That's the most important thing we can teach. So we have a list of very important safety things, and we practice really teaching them how to space their horses in the arena, or how to do safety things, or why they wear a helmet. So we go through a lot of that in the second. The third week we work on communication with the horse, so that's when we start really focusing on the reins. We teach them all the aids. In the fourth week we work on balance, so there are so many fun balance exercises. Everything from egg and spoon to special stretches that we call the Humpty Dumpty stretch, where they make themselves into a little egg, or around the world would be where they turn around and around on top of the horse, riding with their eyes closed, riding backwards. It's just many, many things that are real fun to practice that balance up there. And you can see the kids ride better after doing these exercises. And then the last week we pull it all together, and we have a fun and games night. And that we do depending on what the class is like. You know, we may do, on the hot weather, we may do bobbing for apples. On a rainy day, we may do a question game where we tape a bunch of answers to the wall inside the indoor arena, ride inside, give everyone directions, and they answer questions and follow directions and ride around inside and just have fun. We do treasure hunts out on our sensory trail.
Oh, fun. And after this 5-week session, do they come back? Are they able to come back for a new class, or how does that work?
We are so full that usually we're limited to 1 class session for a family for a year, each year. What we have experienced though is sometimes a family may suddenly not be able to come for the second summer session. Some families have learned that, so they always want to come the first summer session, and they want to be ready to be the family that fills in case somebody can't come.
On the waiting list.
Yeah, once in a while we're able to have someone do both summer sessions, but it's very infrequent that that's able to be done. We have adult classes in the spring and the fall also.
So you have adults and children as your students, is that correct? So children are in children classes and adults are in adult classes.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Our annual calendar is set up so that in the spring we have small adult classes.
As always, thanks for watching. I'm Eric Olson. We'll see you next time on Cue.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.